began to appreciate the people that behind the camera were more important really than the people in front of it. You know, there's so much talent there.
Of House Party, the wonderful, wonderful House Party. Memories, happy memories?
Very happy memories. I came back from India looking like a hippie with long skirts and long hair and whatever, and I loved it. It was a great family feel about it. We were the precursors of loose women, really.
Yes, you were.
We certainly were, weren't we?
Yes, you were.
Mind you, we weren't allowed to say naughty things, but we had some naughty women on the programme, let me tell you.
It was like going to university and meeting your friends, and friends that you made then you keep for the rest of your life. I did my growing up at Southern, both professionally and personally.
Going back to 1958, my father was one of the first people that Southern Television employed, and he became a film librarian. That is exactly what I do today in the news library at Meridian.
I had to be interviewed by a guy called Barclay Smith, who was then head of production. Jack Hargreaves was on the board, and I didn't know that. So I walked into this interview, and I straight away said to Jack Hargreaves, "Oh, I love your programme," thinking he was going to go. But so after he was on the board, and he said, "Oh, that guy's got the job." Because I said,
other than the fact it was great to work in an organisation like TVS that had so much of a kind of human atmosphere. It's one of the few stations I worked for that everybody, their wives, families and children all got together. It doesn't happen in London.
Personally, for me, the best things were coming into the office, chatting with Judith. We used to have a laugh with Ken Dawkins, used to be in the next office to Jan. Working with Jan, we all used to be just a tight family, and Jan and Ken were our mum and dad.
They were our mum and dad. We used to call them mum and dad, didn't we? Yes. We shouldn't
Sorry,
say
Jan.
Sorry, Jan.
This is a gentleman called George Egan.
He must be behind me.
Who directed Out of Town with the legendary Jack Hargreaves,
And
directed How.
And I bet you don't know any of these because they were before even your time. I'm going to put that up. There's 24 series that I directed.
There we are. 24 series that you directed.
Yeah, in addition to How. So I'm going to put it up saying, can you guess who was in it? Do you know who was in Probe?
Yeah, Probe I don't know.
Do you know who was in background? Who was doing background?
No. Homegrown, I remember.
Barry.
Carol for Christmas. I think I did that. I did that with you.
Carol for Christmas.
Yes.
And Hymn for Britain. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm going to put, hi my darling. Hello, sweetheart. God's trombone, I remember. God's trombone.
God's
yes.
trombone was another one.
Yes, I'm going to get lots of kisses tonight.
Not from me, you're not.
They're quite safe, you see. I'm not kiss and tell. I'm kiss and be grateful. Always. So
Listen, can I ask you something?
Yes,
what was I like when I was a young man?
Desperate. Absolutely desperate.
I haven't
You
changed.
tried.
The one I remember most of all was when she rang me one day to say that she'd been approached by the team that were doing the time and the place because they needed some twins to stand in as part of the twins programme, and would we do it? And we're not twins. I'm 3 years older, so I was delighted.
Any number of funny stories. The classic one is Trevor Baker doing the weather, and the flat came down and all the magnetic ends and numbers on the weatherboard slipped, so everybody had to rush around quickly putting them back in place. And there was fog that night, and the F at the beginning of fog had just slipped sideways, and Trevor the weatherman came to camera and said, "I'm so sorry about the F in fog."
I think really one of my abiding memories is when I was sailing correspondent for about 18 months. I was ever leaping on and off yachts, the days when Ted Heath, the former Prime Minister, had his Morning Cloud, his yacht. Anyway, we had a boat called Southerner. Has anybody talked to you about Southerner? Southerner was a converted wartime motor torpedo boat, which was converted into an outside broadcast unit. there were cameras on it, and it had two speeds, either very slow or very fast. And one day I was reporting on it when Shea Blythe was returning from having gone round the world the wrong way round, and we went out to meet him by the Needles, and there was a lovely chap called David Croft, who was the director down below, control room down below, and he always had a glass of whiskey there. And and so suddenly, the thing said, somebody said, stand by, and suddenly the boat went, whoomp, you see, and David's whiskey, this wasn't the first time that went all over him, crashed to the floor, he went backwards and so on, and that was basically in the control room where we were supposed to be filming. But I do have that abiding memory of the whiskey travelling down the thing all over him. Dear David, yes.
We had a phone call from somebody during a programme where they were filming in a hothouse, like a butterfly house, and the cameraman was interviewing somebody, and of course it was so hot and steamy, the lens was steaming up, and he had to keep using a hanky to wipe the lens. And a lady rang up, terribly upset, because she thought it would make her television blow up, because she said there was condensation on the screen inside my TV. And as she was on the phone, she said, "Oh, that's okay, the man's wiping it for me now."
And I was on the Royal Television Society committee back in the days of Southern Television. I knew a lot of the people, and we used to have a lot of our committee meetings actually at Southern. And on one particular occasion, I can remember the committee actually appeared on a Southern chat show because a coach carrying studio audience went down, and we were dragged in. They were dragging everyone in, people from the canteen, the works, and us, to sit in the audience and ask questions. So a small claim to fame is once appeared on a chat show on Southern.
Did you claim expenses for that?
Of course.
Oh, good. And a late meal allowance?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's excellent.
We were at the Brighton Dome doing the Labour Party conference, and the sound supervisor was David Owens, and I was just a trainee assistant sound man at the time. And there was not much happening, so he decided to go shopping for the afternoon, leaving me theoretically with just one fader up to network to feed ITN with what was going on in the hall. While he was away, something happened political, and it all got very busy in the afternoon. And they decided to interview somebody in the studio while we were putting out a live feed from the conference. But I got them mixed up, and we ended up putting the live sound and the live pictures to different places. ITN were getting the pictures, network were getting the sound, and they could see the interview but could only hear the conference, and all the phones started to ring. So I thought, oh, silly me, and I swapped it over, and I thought, phew, got away with that. And 5 minutes later, the phone started to ring again. It's still the wrong way round. I said, oh, but I swapped it back to how it was, and they said, yeah, it's fine now. And I could never understand that. 10 years later, when we were setting up Vinters Park in Maidstone, the then engineering manager, Richard Crozier, was sat listening to me tell this tale in the bar, and we're all quite drunk and having a wonderful time, and there's me, silly me, and all the feeds. And he said, it was you. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'd been left by my senior engineer. I was a trainee links operator up on a hill above Brighton. They rang me up and said, you silly fool, you've got the sound the wrong way round. So I swapped the leads over and I thought I got it right. And 5 minutes later, they rang me up and said, you've got it wrong again. So he put them right. And we were up and down the hill at opposite ends, swapping the cables over, network getting the wrong feed for about 10 minutes. And everybody thought it was hilarious.